Good afternoon, my name is Ana Teresa Garay Rodriguez, and this is my final evidence for the subject financial decisions. First of all, I would like to talk about four of the most important financing sources in the market. The first one is the three F's that represent the friends, family, and fools. These rates go from 1 peso up to 5,000 pesos. This is basically based by the trust circle of the investor and does not represent any specific term for return. The second option is crowdfunding, which are platforms for publishing projects where investors decide whether or not to invest in different projects. The quantities of this kind of projects can go up to 2 million pesos and represents a very good option for any investor that is looking for funding. The third one represents all the common banks, or in Spanish, de banca, which are banks such as HSBC, BBVA, Citibanamex, which provide different options for the investor to get financing, but also they require specific terms, specific interest rates, and specific periods of payment. And the fourth one, that it's the most basic and easy one, are the personal savings, which represents the earnings that the investor have been keeping for himself in order to invest in new projects. Well, the minimal acceptable rate of return, it's the minimum profit that an investor expects to make at the time he makes an investment. In this case, Juan in the gas stations project. And he has to take into account the risks of the investment and the opportunity costs of undertaking it instead of the investments. The minimal acceptable rate of return after developing this project in order for Juan to get a good revenue and not to put in risk all his ideas and his project is a rate of 10.55% in a period of 5 years. Well, now I would like to talk about a little bit about what is the WACC. The special definition for this is the weighted average cost. It's a calculation of a firm's cost of capital in which each category of capital is proportionally weighted. Here we can see the specific formula for the WACC and which letter represents each point. For example, the E here in the formula represents the equity. The letter D represents the debt of the company or the investor. The RE is the cost of the equity. The RD is the cost of debt. And finally, the T represents the tax. Well, for Juan's project, the financing sources selected at the end were was only crowdfunding. This is because at some point of the project, Juan states that he wants to invest some of the previous earnings he have had along his life and along other projects such as the Uber project. Here, Juan will put 1,005,000 pesos to the project, so he will be having a missing amount of 5,000 pesos. After developing some research and considering the options, in my opinion, I think that the best option would be crowdfunding because the interest rates are really low and represents a new business opportunity for new investors that are managing and that are interacting in the platform. And finally, here are some of the references that I consulted in order to develop this project.